Hello again. We're tackling 3 recipes from the Elder Scrolls Volume 1: Horker Loaf, cheese scones, and Canis Root Tea. Let's start with the Horker Loaf. I am doubling the recipe for leftovers, so if you want a single batch, just have everything. In a large mixing bowl, combine 3 pounds of ground beef or other meat. I'm using a 7327 blend because it was on sale. To the meat, we'll add 2 diced carrots. I have 1 white carrot and 1 purple carrot. Next comes 4 cloves of minced garlic. Then 2 3.75-ounce tins of smoked oysters. Mine came in oil, so I tried to leave as much oil behind as I could. Two eggs and 2/3 a cup of heavy cream. Once the cream and eggs are thoroughly mixed, add the remaining ingredients. They are 1 cup of breadcrumbs, I used Italian, 1 tablespoon of Stormcloak seasoning, which is from the book and contains dill, grains of paradise, mustard powder, and fennel, and 1 teaspoon each of salt and pepper. Mix again until everything is well combined. When you are done mixing, place the meat mixture into a baking dish or prepared baking sheet. Form the loaf so that it is no higher than 4 inches. When you finish shaping your loaf, place 3 peeled garlic cloves into the top of the loaf to simulate Horker tusks. Lay bacon strips from one end to the other, making sure that the garlic cloves end up covered by bacon. This prevents the garlic from burning. We'll bake at 425 degrees for about 40 minutes. When done, peel the bacon away from the garlic cloves so that the tusks are exposed. My bacon ended up sliding off, so my garlic has a bit of a tan. On to the cheese scones. In a large bowl, combine 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, half a teaspoon of mustard powder, and half a teaspoon salt. Using either a pastry cutter or your hands, rub in a 1/4 cup of butter that has already been cubed until you have a fine, crumbly texture. Add in half a cup of sour cream and 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk, a little at a time, until you get a good dough that isn't too dry or too wet. I messed up here and added all of the buttermilk, which gave me a little trouble later on. Finally, add 1 cup of aged cheddar cheese that has been shredded. Mix until it's all combined. Flour a work surface and turn out the dough. Press the dough flat and fold it over onto itself a few times. This will give the scones some layers. Press the dough so that it is about ½ inch thick and cut into triangular shapes. Some of my scones didn't quite become triangles, so I tried piecing them together to make a triangular shape. Once your scones are shaped, place them onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Brush the scones with a beaten egg and then sprinkle with grated Parmesan cheese. Bake the scones at 400 degrees for 15 minutes or until golden and baked through. Since my dough was too wet because of all the buttermilk, my scones didn't quite get the rise I wanted. They kind of spread out. Last is the Canis Root Tea. In a small saucepan over medium heat, add 1 tablespoon of dried dandelion root and 1 tablespoon dried burdock root. We're going to toast these for about 5 minutes until they become fragrant and darken slightly. Once toasted, add 2½ cups of water and a cinnamon stick. Simmer for about 15 minutes, then strain into a mug and add brown sugar and milk to taste. Let's chow down, starting with the Horker Loaf. It looks super good, and the smell from the roasted garlic cloves on top is wonderful. I really like the smoky flavor from the oysters, and when I added the oysters, they sort of disintegrated, so there are not pieces of oyster, just the nice oyster flavor throughout. The ground beef and oyster balance each other, so the loaf doesn't taste too fishy or meaty. And the crispy bacon on top is a nice addition. The roasted garlic cloves, yum! The spices go well with all the ingredients to make a great tasting meatloaf. I think I'm going to wash the Horker Loaf down with some nice Canis Root Tea. I've had dandelion tea before and I really enjoy it, but I've never had burdock tea. It's not bad, just a new taste for me. I feel that if you drink this without the milk and sugar, it would be harder to digest. I had this tea later on in the day after it spent some time in the fridge, and I think for me, this tea is best served cold. Finally, the scones. Since I added too much buttermilk, my scones spread horizontally instead of vertically. The taste, however, is fantastic. The Irish cheddar cheese I used really stands out in a mild and not sharp way. The Parmesan cheese on top adds a nice contrast to the cheddar. Really good. If you tried any of these recipes, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell to stay up to date on my cooking adventures. Thanks for watching. See you next time.